guys, it's Stephanie from My Porch Prints, and today we're going to be making an envelope journal, and we're going to be using a kit from my shop. It's called my Feel Good Journal Kit, and we might be using a few other things as well. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll see as we go along. But to start with, I've got these pieces of cardboard, just regular old cardboard like a box, and these actually measure 8.5 by 11, so they're the same size as a letter size piece of paper. And that's going to work well for fitting my journal pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this first one in half, and that's going to be kind of the front and back of my journal. And then I'm going to use this one to cut some other pieces to create the kind of envelope look that we're going for. So follow along with me. Thanks, guys. Okay, so we cut our front and back here, and now we're going to go ahead and cut our spines, and we're going to need 2 for this because this cover is actually going to wrap all the way around the journal. So we're going to cut 2 spines that are the same length or same width. I'm going to go ahead and just make them as wide as this ruler. And then I'm also going to cut a piece for the front of the envelope. So if you think about what an envelope looks like, it's got like a flap on the front, and that's what we're going to be cutting after the spines. Okay, so for the envelope flap, this can be just a little bit tricky. It's not really tricky, but what I'm going to do is find the center, and I want to make sure that this is the correct side because this is starting to be kind of a square, so it's hard to tell which one's the right side. So make sure it's this way. That's about the same, so it's kind of a square. So either way would probably work. But I'm going to find the center of my side here, which is 5.5, or no, sorry, this is the 8.5 side. So it's 4.25 right there at the 4 1/4 mark. Okay, and what that's going to do is give us kind of a middle for our envelope. You'll kind of see what I mean as I go here. And then the other thing I want to do is measure down just a little bit, probably like 1/2 inch, maybe actually, maybe I'll do a full inch down from the top here. So right there, and oops, right there. Okay, and I'm going to start at that 1 inch line, and then oh, I guess I should probably make a little mark here to come to. Okay, you're probably like, what is she talking about? Sorry, I tend to, you know how you're like when you're thinking in your brain, but it like won't catch up with your mouth, or your mouth won't catch up with your brain? That's me pretty much all the time. My husband hates it because I'll stand there and be like, and he's like, just say it. And I'm like, hold on. And I'll be thinking like 3 steps ahead. And by the time I get back to what I was thinking, it's gone. And anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who's like that. But anyway, just go ahead and start and measure from your 1 inch line to this mark that we made right here. And how I chose how long this mark is was just eyeballing it. I thought this looks like a good place for the point of my envelope to be. So I'm going to connect this line to this line, and then I'm going to do the same over on this side. Find that 1 inch line, find this mark in the center, and just, there we go. And you can see how this kind of looks like an envelope, you know, just the flap of an envelope. So that's the look we're going for. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. There we go. Okay, so we cut out our envelope flap, and we cut out our front and back and our spines. And what we're going to do is kind of line them up just like this. And what I'm going to do, this may sound a little redundant, but I think it looks nice, is I've got this big piece of brown like butcher paper. I have a huge roll of it that I keep around for stuff, but you might also get some like in your packing materials and whatnot, but I like this because it's not very wrinkled. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this in my butcher paper. And again, you're probably thinking, what, it's brown on brown, what's the point? But I do think it gives it a nicer, more finished look, so that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I cut out my butcher paper and I cut it just kind of in the shape of my pieces here, only a little bit larger, so I left like an inch or so around the outside. And what I'm going to do is glue the pieces into place, and I'm going to leave some gaps between the spine and the other pieces. And then I'm going to go ahead and cover it. So let's get started with that. Now I've got my pieces glued down to the paper. I'm going to go ahead and trim just a little bit. You can see on this end it's a little bit wonky, so I'm going to try to straighten it out a little bit more. And then I'll show you where we put the cuts and notches, and then we'll cover it and fold these brown pieces over. So I'm going to cut a notch straight here and straight down here. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to go here and then here. And then what I'm going to do is cut notches at each intersection where the spines are. And then I'm also going to cut the corners off on the edge. Alright, so now we have our notches and our corners cut, and we're just going to go ahead and fold this over and glue it in place. Okay, and there we go. We've got our envelope kind of on its way. And it has that kind of cool covered look, like a brown paper package, you know, it's kind of special looking. So then the next thing we're going to do is cover the inside. Okay, so we finished the outside of our journal cover here, and now we're going to go ahead and cover the inside. And to do that, I've printed off a couple of papers from my Feel Good journal kit, or well, a couple copies of the same paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them together, and I'm going to make sure that they cover the entire journal. And then I'm going to cut them to size and paste them to the inside. Now, normally I would want the seam where the two pieces of paper meet to match up with the spine of my journal because it kind of hides it. You know, you want to hide this seam in your paper. But I actually want to cut this butterfly out and use it for something, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so the paper seam might be just a little bit more to the right instead of in the center here. So that's okay. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. So let's go ahead and do that. And I probably should have done this before I made my paper ginormous, but I want to cut the edges off. So yeah, that would probably be something better to do before you glue them together. Okay, despite my mess ups, this actually turned out okay. So then this is the pointed edge of our journal. And so I'm going to fold the paper. I'm going to sort of place the paper where I want it, so it's all lined up. And then fold the edges back and try to match them with the edge here and give it a little bit of a border. Just like that. And I'll do the same on this bottom side. Just kind of eyeballing it here. And then I'll cut these pieces off. Yeah, I got that right. There we go. And now I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down. Oh, before I do this, I don't want to forget. Haha. See, I remembered something before I accidentally did the wrong thing. I've got these little mini magnets, and I would like to make the closure a magnet closure, and I'm hoping these will be strong enough for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a couple of these guys. They're very strong for their size. And I'm going to put one underneath right here at the tip. And then I'm going to put the other one where the tip touches the journal, so that when it closes, hopefully it will magnetize shut. And you want to make sure you get the right side so it doesn't, so it attracts itself and doesn't repel itself. And I'm trying to put it in just a little ways from the tip so that the paper will cover it. Oh, I always hate this part because I'm trying to remember, was this the side that was magnetized? Oh, I do this every time. Okay, well, I'm gonna let this dry and then figure it out so I don't pull it off of there. So then this will go over the top. And if you want, you can ink your edges. I'm not going to bother on this one because I kind of like the crisp white. I think it looks kind of nice. Okay, And so our cover is starting to come together. I need to glue this other magnet into place. Hopefully I won't pull this whole thing off when I try to magnetize it. Okay, there we go. So this is my magnetized side. And I'm going to try to match it up with this magnet on the closure here. I think that's a good spot. Let's hope so. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is, these came with the journal kit, and it's kind of like a back cover and front cover, but I really liked this one, I think, for the front cover, so I'm going to go ahead and put it there. And then, yeah, and then that butterfly is going to come into play here, so let's go ahead and do this. So I cut this to fit with a little bit of a border around the edge. And I'm going to go ahead and round the corners with this corner rounding punch. And I'll put links to items that I use and to the kits that I'm using down in the video description. And I think I will ink the edges for this one. The magnet's slipping a little. And there's no rhyme or reason to why I am using glue and or runner tape. If you're thinking, what's her method behind this? I just grabbed the glue first, so that's why I'm using it right now. I'm going to flatten this out so I can really push on this. And then once this is dry, I'll test out my magnet and see if it can work through all these layers. While that's drying, I'm going to make a butterfly for the closure. So this is that butterfly I cut from the paper, and what I'm going to do is glue it to some scrap cardstock, just to make it a little bit more substantial, and then we'll cut it out. So I cut out my butterfly, and what I want to do is glue it onto here so that when it closes, it'll kind of cover this butterfly. I'll see if I can do this without wrecking my magnets. Let's see. Oh, there they go. They caught. Yay. So now that I know where it's going to be magnetized, I'm going to put this butterfly right here. And before I do that, I'm trying to decide if I want to decorate this with some decorative paper. And I think I might. I'm going to think about that for a second. Okay, I've really been thinking about whether I want to cover this with some paper. And I think I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and give it a try and use this paper again from the kit. So, try to think of what I want where and make it happen. Maybe something like that would be pretty. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is kind of placing the paper where I want it, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put my fingers over the edges to give myself a kind of crease. And hopefully this will show me where to cut. As you can see, I'm just kind of pushing down and folding it over the edge of my triangle. And you can kind of see on the back where it shows up, and that'll give me kind of a vague idea of where to cut. Okay, so now I've got a roughly triangle shaped piece of paper here. And what I'm going to do is kind of trim it up with my trimmer, I think, and try to make it a little more what I'm looking for. And if you're looking for a kind of girl who does exact measuring, this is probably not the right channel for you, because I never do anything exact. I just kind of look and see what looks good and go from there. So now I've got my decorative paper on here and my cardboard or cardstock butterfly here. I'm going to go ahead and glue it on where I want it. Right, there we go. And next we're going to go ahead and decorate the back of this with a freebie printable. Okay, so this is the freebie printable that's available in my My Porch Prints Facebook group. And if you're a member of that, you can find a whole bunch of freebies in that group, including this one. So this is just really cute. I designed this just for this project to make our little envelope kind of look like an actual letter or postcard. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and then that will be the back cover. Okay, so then that completes our cover. Oops. There's our journal, and then there's the kind of cute little letter look for the back cover. And now I'm going to go ahead and fill it with journal pages. Okay, so here are the pages. These come with the printable kit, my Feel Good Journal Kit, and the link is down below. And these are really great pages because they have a lot of journaling space in them. And the kit also comes with some ephemera and pockets and things to decorate it, but I'm just going to be doing the pages today. And so I've folded these into 3 signatures, 3 groups of folded pages, and each one's got, I don't know, I want to say like 6 or 7 pages in it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and tie these into my journal. Some people like to sew them in. If you want to do that, there's tutorials out there for how to sew in your pages, but I'm just going to tie mine. And I've got this seam binding ribbon in matching colors for my kit. And this came from Scrap Cabin Shop. I'll try to put a link to her shop down below too. So I just kind of measure as long as my page, you know, and then I double it up, and I have a little trail, I don't know if you can see it down here, a little trail of ribbon to tie with, and you'll see how this works in just a minute. And so I'm going to just take my first signature pages, I'm going to open to the center fold, and I'm going to put my ribbon inside, and then line it up with my spine of my journal, and I'm going to wrap it around and just tie it at the bottom. And this is nice too because it makes the pages removable, so if you ever want to take them out or change them out, you can. And then I repeat it for the next signature pages. And I'm just lining these up, whoops, along the spine here, one right after another. Doo, doo, doo. And you want it snug, but not too tight, because it'll bend your spine and your pages if it's too tight. And it takes just a little bit of finesse to get it on there. Oops. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so this is looking like our finished journal. We've got our cover and our back cover, and you could also decorate the edges if you wanted to with something. And then inside, we've got our journal pages. And then you can decorate these using the ephemera from the kit and other things. All right, that is our tutorial for today. Thanks for watching, everyone.